This is an ice scraper. Have you ever seen a film that other people thought was bad, but you were convinced of its merits? This film could hold a special place in your heart because of what you were experiencing when you saw it or who you saw it with. Have people tried to convince you that this film is negative, but for some reason, you can't see it in a negative light? This is what we call a guilty pleasure film. A movie that you enjoy, even though it's not considered to be a good movie. A movie you are embarrassed about liking. I have a guilty pleasure movie. And for me, that movie is... I honestly enjoy watching this movie. I don't know if something's wrong with me, but I've watched it multiple times and still enjoy it. I have lost friends and family over liking this movie, but I don't really care. I enjoy it too much. I thought maybe if I rewatched this movie, I could find one little piece, one little morsel, one little crumb that I could share with y'all so that maybe you could enjoy the movie as much as I could. But alas, I can't find one piece. Because it's all good. I will, however, try to convince you of its merits, and I think the strongest thing that this film has is its writing of Ben and Reed. This is... So we start this film with a class project. Okay, quick tangent. One of the problems people have with this film is that the class project seems too unrealistic. Look, they're in 5th grade. The assignment was probably something like, do a report on your dream job. It was probably something to help them begin to research and feel comfortable public speaking. And Stupid McStupidhead, his actual IMDb credit name, by the way, was so stupid that he probably just Googled, how much do football players make? And that was his whole report. Anyway, Reed gives a thoughtful speech about how he's going to change the world. But because his teacher doesn't believe in him, he's ridiculed and asked to sit back down. As Ben walks to the front of the class to give his presentation, he takes a stop at Reed's desk and notices his doodling. I believe he comes to the realization that, hey, this kid might know something. We then get a look at Ben's home life. It's dingy, he gets abused by his brother, and nobody really cares about him. It's a literal dump. Ben's mom hears the dogs barking outside and asks him to investigate whatever it is. He finds Reed stealing stuff from him, begging for his life. I like how Ben basically tests Reed here. If what Ben is to witness comes true, then Reed might be the only genius in this trash hole. And Ben, being of noble character, will help Reed no matter what, because he realizes that he's a genius, and geniuses don't belong here. Ben follows Reed home, witnesses a scientific miracle, and basically devotes the rest of his life to helping Reed, no questions asked. Another tangent. At the science fair, Ben and Reed are clearly the oldest people there. People say all the time, how old are these people supposed to be? Reed and Ben are clearly too old to be there. And yeah, I think that's kind of the point. Ben and Reed are working on this teleporter, but they really don't know who to get it in front of to get funding. They've lived in a dump of a town their entire lives. And no one believes in Reed because what he does is beyond comprehension. The science fair is probably the only place this guy has to show off his science. And it looks to me that Reed kind of begged the person in charge of the science fair to enter into an elementary science fair just to get his stuff noticed. And the guy in charge of the science fair must have begrudgingly let him. When Reed does use the teleporter, nobody believes him. They have nothing else to think than that it's magic. And I think that's because the level of intellect that Reed is on is beyond any of their understanding. Also, because in magic there's this thing called misdirection, where you kind of have something happen over here so they don't realize that something happened over there. And that literally happens when Reed uses the teleporter. The basketball hoop breaks, and that kind of misdirects the teacher to look over there, so he might think that that's the reason that it's magic. That, and it's beyond a high school, a middle school, and elementary school teacher's understanding of science. After Dr. Storm walks over to Reed, I like how overprotective Ben is of Reed. Sue pulls out her phone and takes a picture of Reed's teleporter, and I don't know if Ben just doesn't understand what she's doing, but it's so cute how he kind of looks at it and then looks at her and kind of has this kind of a face, you know? It's sweet. He cares. He doesn't want any more big science people hurting Reed anymore like the teacher had been for years. But now Reed needs to go away. He needs to go do science with science people. So Reed and Ben say their goodbyes. The whole scene of Ben dropping Reed off at the Baxter building is so cute, and I love how overprotective Ben is still over Reed, carrying his things, looking out for him. It's so cute. Ben from Canada does a better breakdown of this scene than I could ever do on Mr. Sunday Movies channel. Do yourself a favor, go and watch it after this video's over. Also tell them Filky sent you. Please tell them, if Ben or James or Meso even, acknowledges the name Filky, I will be forever happy. And you guys want me to be happy, right? 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 Somebody cares about my happiness, right? So Ben and Reed finally say their goodbyes, and Reed starts working on his big science project. I love how during the building montage, Reed is such a big nerd and he can't help it. He takes a picture of the model of the teleporter, not even the teleporter itself, just the model, and sends it to Ben with the text, "Couldn't have done it without you, buddy." He's not even finished at this point, but Reed wishes his friend was there with him, so he tries to include him on the way. After Ben gets the text, he's so happy and proud of his friend and doesn't know what to do. And we see this little moment where Ben is so happy for his friend and celebrates him, but also in this way that indicates he doesn't know how to express these emotions. He's a little tough guy. He doesn't know emotions. Then it comes time for the teleporter. At this point, Reed, Johnny, and Victor are told they're not allowed to use the teleporter. Another quick tangent. People think it's so unrealistic that Reed, Johnny, and Victor would even consider the fact that they would be the first ones into the teleporter. Why would Reed and Johnny and Victor even think they'd be allowed to go into the teleporter? That's so unrealistic. It seems to me, based on simple context clues, that there was a project before our current one that Sue, Johnny, and Victor were all a part of. And because when they started it, it was probably a small grassroots campaign, they didn't have anyone else who could go and be the teleporters. So they just assume that now that Reed joined the project and started up again, that they would also be entitled to be the first people to go into the other universe. They've got government funding now, and the government's not going to let some scientist be the first people over. So they get drunk, and they decide that they're going to use the teleporter before anyone else realizes. And who does Reed think to contact at this time? None other than our boy Ben. They literally compare it to walking on the moon, and Reed isn't thinking, oh, I need to make sure that I'm the first one. He just wants his friend to be there. When Ben gets there, it's so funny how Ben looks at it all, and this expression on his face is just, I don't understand this. This is not where I fit in, but I'm with my friend Reed, and I trust him. He's never steered me wrong. Reed knows what's best. Reed would never put me in danger, right? 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 Disaster strikes. Their lab is in ruins. And who does Reed try to save first? Before he faints at the sight of his own body, but he does try to save Ben. And after he comes to, all he's thinking about is, where's Ben? That's all he can cry out. He gets free, and he tries to escape. During his escape from the lab, he makes his way to Ben to see him, his BFF, his big strong man. And boy, does he see him. He sees his friend in pain and agony, trapped by rocks, struggling in torment. Ben cries out to Reed to be here with him, to help him. But Reed, scared of being caught, flees the base to try and work on a cure. Let me tell you what happened between Ben and Reed during this year. They've been inseparable this whole movie, the best of buds, if you will. But during this year, Ben is lied to repeatedly by the government. Reed doesn't care about you. He ran from you. If he cared about you, he'd still be here. We love you. We care about you. We're the government. We have resources. We can help you if you'll help us. By killing our enemies. Meanwhile, Reed realizes that he's no good to Ben if he's just being experimented on by the government. He's escaped the government, and with his limited resources, he's trying to find a cure for Ben. Every day he's Googling, big rock monster guy, and he's doing this to make sure that Ben's okay, because he cares about him. But the government finds Reed. and they use their ultimate weapon on him. When Reed sees Ben for the first time, he's overjoyed and puts his guard down. Ben is filled with resentment and anger towards Reed, and with one head bump, Reed goes down. They take a plane ride together, and this is where their development is really elaborated on. Ben is in constant pain all the time, and he's basically given up hope. Reed left him, the government isn't helping, he is hopeless. But Reed still loves his friend, and he's determined to try and help Ben. You can see the look on his face that he regrets running away for this past year because maybe he could have helped him if he was in the lab. Alright, Reed fixes the teleporter, Doom comes back, Doom kills the guy, and the lab is on high alert. Ben and Reed are released from their cells, and in the chaos they happen to see each other. Ben says to Reed, running away again, expecting him to be cowardice. Remember, the government spent a whole year lying to Ben, saying that Reed doesn't care about you. He ran away from you because he hates you. But Reed stands right by Ben in the final fight, not backing down. Reed and Ben work together to defeat Doom in the final battle along with Sue and Johnny, and it's a beautiful arc of their friendship prevailing. I love how when they're thinking about names for this group, Ben is the only one who doesn't take the chance to make it all about himself. Instead, he suggests that the name be focused around Reed. But instead, Reed chooses to make it about Ben. I mean, isn't that fantastic?
It's fantastic.
By the end of the movie, Reed and Ben's relationship is solid again, and it's beautiful. They've come a long way from the garage, from that junkyard. The bond Reed and Ben have, and the journey and tests that their friendship takes in this movie, I mean, it is fantastic. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video caused you to look at Fant4stic in a different light. Maybe you like it a little bit more now. I know I do. I genuinely like this movie. Anyway, let me know your guilty pleasure movies in the comments below. And also, please check out Ben from Canada and Mr. Sunday Movies. Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things. Do the things. Do the things.